When Sean Diddy Combs was sentenced to 50 months in federal prison, the reactions were instant: shock, disbelief, and confusion. But according to former mob boss Michael Franzese, Diddy's real punishment hasn't even begun yet.
Normally, nobody's looking to shank you. When you get into the higher institutions, when people are doing, a ton of time and there's no way you can benefit them, then you got a little more problem.
Maybe if he'd be in a camp type situation, that's a possibility. But based on the lifestyle and what he's done and what he's accomplished, if he had to go behind those bars for a lot of years, I think that he may commit.
Franzese says Diddy's lawyers managed to control a chaotic situation. The judge weighed years of controversy, media attention, and emotional testimony. In the end, Diddy walked away with just 4 years, far lighter than most expected.
Obviously, he's disappointed, although he really shouldn't be. I think, a 4-year sentence here with already credit for the year or so that he has in, I think he did very well with respect to all of the drama and all of the circumstance around this trial. There was a lot of bad stuff out there, and I'm not saying, I'm not passing judgment on that, but it just looked really bad. And he could have gotten up to 10 years or 11 years. So I think the judge, took everything into consideration. I think his family today made a very good plea for him, and I think he did very well. That's my opinion.
So in your experience, like your own experience and other, inmates that you've seen go through it and then show back up at the cell block, how do they take this? Do they bury their head in the pillow and cry, or do they keep their head held high and just pack up their stuff and wait for their assigned new prison? Tell me everything.
Well, everybody's different. I'm sure he went back was somewhat disappointed, so he's probably, dwelling on that. Hey, it could have been differently. Maybe I should have gotten out. Maybe he's a little bit upset, a little bit angry. I get it. All those emotions come into play.
Where Diddy serves his time is still undecided. The judge can recommend, but the Bureau of Prisons decides. Because of his fame and risk level, Diddy likely won't go to a club-fed camp. A medium security prison seems more realistic.
He's got to get ready. He'll spend a couple of weeks there until they designate him to a new facility. And he'll be a lot better off in prison than he is in the federal jail. At least there you can move around and you got some freedom on the yard and things like that. My thought is he'll collect himself, get himself together. There are ways for him to improve himself. They have the Bureau of Prisons now has a drug program. And if you're allowed to get into that drug program, you can knock as much as 18 months off your sentence. Now, I don't know if he'll qualify, if they'll allow him to go in, but he'll probably start to think about, okay, what can I do to reduce my time now? That's what everybody thinks when you get in there. Is there any way we can better ourselves? He's thinking about what facility they're going to send him to. I'm sure he spoke to his lawyers and he asked his lawyers to put in a facility that's close to his home, close to his family, a low or medium level. I don't think he'll get into a camp.
Can you though? Does your request actually count? I mean, I thought the feds just put you where it works for them. I didn't think you get a say in it.
Well, here's the thing. The judge, you could ask the judge to recommend. The Bureau of Prisons doesn't have to go along with the judge's recommendation, but it does help a little bit. They do try to sometimes satisfy the judge's request. You can put in a request, and sometimes they'll honor it, sometimes they won't.
Franzese, who's seen both minimum and high security prisons, says everything depends on how Diddy carries himself inside. It's not about where you go, he said. It's about how you handle yourself once you're there.
Is the camp the lowest security and therefore more paddle and tennis and all the other things and what they call club fed or camp cupcake?
Yeah, they moved me to a camp by accident at one point, and there's no fences or anything like that, and I wasn't there for too long because they realized they made a mistake and put me back in the medium security. But they tell you when you get there, listen, there's no fences. If you want to leave, you can leave, but when we catch you, we're going to add another 5 years onto your sentence. And while I was in that camp for 2 months, each month somebody ran away. I mean, they always try to do that. But yeah, he's thinking of that. Yeah, he's thinking of that. But, a medium security is not that bad.
Let me quickly go back, though. Go back to that piece about he's high profile, so he won't get a camp. Why wouldn't he? I thought in a camp, nobody's going to shank him because, again, they want out.
You know, the overriding factor there, I believe, is he's a guy with a lot of money. And I'll tell you, this happened to me when I went in there because of the profile I had, because of the way they wrote me up. You know, I had everybody and their brother inmate trying to do a deal with me when I got out, you know, a business deal. They need money. You know, because of the fact that he's a money guy, I think he's going to have more friends than he will enemies. And in a medium security, normally nobody's looking to shank you. When you get into the higher institutions, when people are doing, you know, a ton of time and there's no way you can benefit them, then you got a little more problem. But in a medium security, I don't think he'll have an issue at all. I really don't. He can be too much of a benefit to inmates that are always looking for something. And he could be a golden ticket for some people, at least in their mind.
Prison life will test Diddy like never before. Isolation, no fame, no luxury. His team is fighting to keep him close to family, but Gene Deal, Diddy's ex-bodyguard, says he deserves every bit of his punishment.
The orders got him dropping to his knees at the time of the verdict, crying on the chair. My heart goes out and it says, come and feed them beans. I can care less about his sadness. I can care less about him being in pain. I can care less about what he has to be faced with in court or in jail now. I don't have no remorseful feelings for him, bro. You understand? This is somebody that at one time I would have given my own life for. And to know this nigga was trying to get people to take my life because I was trying to teach them to be right by people and tell them to be right by people. I have no remorse for this dude, bro. To see him like that, I know there is a God. And you can feel all the way you want to feel about me. You can say whatever you want to say about me. But karma is a mother. And if it ever gets back to you when you have done somebody wrong, not just me, I'm not saying me. I'm saying when you have done people wrong, you have done goals of people wrong. To see him on his knees begging like that, I would say something, but the LGBT community will be after me. So you'll never hear me say it, so I don't want to get in trouble with it. But bruh, I'm happier than in the barrel of dicks to see him like that.
On Monday, Diddy's lawyers asked Judge Arun Subramanian to recommend FCI Fort Dix, a low-security prison in New Jersey. They say it'll help him rehab through the RDAP drug program, which could cut his sentence by a year. But Gene Deal says Diddy is beyond saving.
God is good. I don't have no sympathy. I never have sympathy for somebody who was trying to take me from mine. You understand? Was he thinking about when he was telling people to get at Big Gene, to do this to Big Gene? Was he thinking about what if them dudes would have did that? Would he been thinking about me? Nah, bruh. Would he broke down and start crying for me? Nah, bruh. I don't have no sympathy for him. To see him like that, I know God is good. And God showed him. He can make you, he can break you. And I'ma say it again. You might get flagged for this. I'm happier than a faggot in a barrel of dicks, bruh. Don't you see the smile on my face? Bruh, I'ma be totally honest with you. I don't have no sympathy at all. Cause I know he can play all the games he wanna play. Did he have sympathy when he said, I don't give a fuck if Pac gotta die. I don't give a fuck if Big gotta die. Suge Knight can go to jail. Did he have any sympathy when he said to Wolf, I don't need you no more? Meech said, I don't need you no more. Set him off. Do you have sympathy when he told D Ferg, nah, I can't do that. Nah, I don't f with you. Nah, I can't do that like that. Did he have sympathy when he said to Wolf Mama, your son has delusions of grandeur. All he want to do is smoke weed and get high. Do you have sympathy for the notorious Big Mama? Talking about, I didn't go to the funeral. He ain't go to the funeral. Did he have sympathy for Craig Mack? Do you have sympathy for Black Rob to make sure he did the right thing by them? And he sure didn't have no damn sympathy for me when he told dudes to come at me. So looking at those pictures, bruh, I could tell you just like this, with no ifs, ands, and buts about it. I'm happier than a barrel of dicks.
Fort Dix might sound peaceful, but experts warn otherwise. The prison has a history of gang activity and contraband, and many inmates there still idolize Tupac, a dangerous place for someone accused of being tied to his murder.
Say, yo, listen here, man. This guy's life might be danger over here because people think that he has something to do with Pac. People think he has something to do with Biggie. Some of the people are still mad that he made making it a band walk to Brooklyn from, you know, to get the cheesecake, and just around the corner from the Cheesecake Factory. So, I mean, Junior's. So it might be some dumb shit. So y'all need to get him out of here and ship him to Jersey because somebody gonna kill him over here. Those are good arguments, if you want to call it, but it's bullshit. He gonna get the same treatment no matter how much money he got from them correction officers. Because if they don't and they get caught giving him preferential treatment, they gonna lose their job.
So you feel like Pac fans will try to do something to him?
Pac and Biggie fans. He can have issues with both of them because a lot of people think, because of the statement that Keefe D made, that he did something to Pac. A lot of people know or think that because of Biggie leaving, they finding out that Biggie was leaving Bad Boy, that he may have had something to do with Biggie. People feel that way. You hear it all the time. You see it all the time on the chats and all that stuff.
In fact, insiders say Diddy could soon face new charges connected to Tupac's death, with Keefe D threatening to expose everything. If that happens, this prison sentence could be just the beginning.
Keefe D, his trial begins in February, and you know, his defense is the reason why he killed Tupac is because of Puffy. Puffy, he put a hit out on him and Suge, and I don't know, man. It ain't looking too good for Puffy.
Brother, you know what? With a trial, you can't only use circumstantial evidence. You have to have some kind of physical evidence. There's no physical evidence that Keefe D or has something to do with Pac's death. There's circumstantial evidence. There's people that could probably testify on what somebody told them or heard. So now, Keefe D, lawyers and them did a great job when they did trial by judge. Because the judge is looking for physical evidence. What ties Keefe D to Puff? what ties Keefe D to the murder of Tupac, and how could they prove that either one of them has something to do with it? Somebody would have to get on the stand and say that I saw him, he told me, and they want to have to believe them. The Bloods was laying people down, but behind Pac getting shot. It was a big, it sparked a big gang war out there. So, if they want to pull Diddy into that, they got to mitigate circumstantial evidence. Anybody could be a witness for you, but what can they prove? Somebody's going to have to say, I heard this conversation. This was a handshake or a nod or something went down, and it's going to be hard to prove. It's going to be hard to prove. Unless they follow the money.
Low security prisons like Fort Dix offer more freedom, but also more responsibility. The Bureau of Prisons will make the final call, not the judge. Wherever Diddy ends up, Franzese warns he'll need to watch his back, especially around the mob.
He was doing stuff to please himself. And look, after talking to all the male escorts, I got a very clear idea that Cassie was with it.
Oh, listen, I say all the time.
Cassie was with it. She would pick out the guys. She would want to do stuff with the guys, even when the guys were over it. You know, she would run into the guys randomly, then call Diddy, said, oh, I saw so-and-so downstairs. Let's call him up. She didn't have to do that.
Diddy was Nino Brown. Cassie was G-Money.
Okay.
That's just the fact.
Right.
Like, Diddy was...
She was like, you know, Epstein and, what's her name?
Giselle. But what happened was, G-Money wanted out. G-Money got tired of, you know, the treatment that they were experiencing at the hands of Nino Brown. So they wanted out. I mean, we can't sit here and act like there wasn't, you know, text messages where she was, you know, explicitly saying like, look, man, you treat me like a rag doll. I'm somebody's child. Or, hey, this is not what I want to do right now. So, but to your point, yes.
And she could have left at that point. Right?
We saw her try to leave and we saw how that played out. He chased after her in a towel and pulled her to the ground and beat her.
Well, yeah, and that was horrible, but that was one instance. The next day...
That's all it takes.
The next day, you could have left and never came back.
It's easy to say that, but when you're experiencing that...
It is.
It's easy to say that, but when you're experiencing that kind of abuse at the hands of somebody, I can see why she would be afraid to just up and leave. And if you're thinking about it like this, if you're a person like her, you know where all the bodies are buried.
Right.
Diddy can't afford to just let her...
In court, Diddy broke down in tears as a video of his life played. He apologized to Cassie Ventura, calling his actions shameful and sick. But many believe those tears were fake, just another act to earn sympathy.
So, we don't know how much time Diddy's going to get. What would be your guess, by the way? Time served, a couple years, or something like serious, like 10 years?
We had Laura Coates from CNN on. That's crazy. Literally the day we had her on, and we asked her that question, and she says she can't see any more than 3 years with time served.
So like maybe 2 more years.
Yeah, like 2 more years. That's what she said.
Right, and you carve off 85%, that might turn into a year and a half.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's going to be the case, though. It seems like this judge, you know, really is not pleased with the verdict.
Well, yeah, I had Judge Mathis on my show.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he's not a federal judge, but he used to be a state judge, so he really knows more than all of us combined. And he said there's a reasonable chance that based on what came out on the stand, the judge might throw the book at him.
Yeah, because you can't unsee what you saw and you can't unhear what you heard. So even though people say things like, oh, you know, he wasn't on trial for domestic violence, you still saw a video. And when you see a video like that, and then you hear all of these other, you know, women say that they were experiencing, you know, domestic violence, it's hard to give them the benefit of the doubt, you know? And I think that was the biggest thing with the Diddy case to me. It's like, you know, when Cassie first came out with these allegations, man, they went so hard saying it wasn't true. They went so hard saying she was lying, only to have a video drop on CNN. It's kind of hard to give a person the benefit of the doubt after that. I was actually shocked at the verdict. I'm not going to front.
Really?
Yeah, only because I felt like, he was getting cooked so much in the court of public opinion. I didn't know how a jury, and by the way, this is not just for Diddy, this is just for any court case. I don't know how a jury cannot be swayed by what they see in the court of public opinion.
Yeah, but I think it was a fair judgment.
Oh, I
This
agree.
was not RICO. Like, come on.
I agree.
This was not RICO. This was not a criminal enterprise. This was a legitimate business where the CEO liked to rub cum on his nipples.
It was a free-ass motherfucker. That's what it was. But no,
Right? And it wasn't sex trafficking.
Listen, you're right.
He was not, like, look, RICO's resigned for the Italian mafia, right? It was pushed by Giuliani to break down these criminal organizations where you had the heads of the families insulating themselves by not actually getting their hands dirty.
Prosecutors didn't buy his apology. They told the judge Diddy already had public appearances planned, showing zero remorse. U.S. Attorney Christy Slavic called his behavior the height of arrogance. Experts say his defense may have backfired.
It was really telling, not just in what happened today, and the pretrial motions by the defense, when they came out and they said Cassie, Jane, Mia, they weren't victims and they didn't have a statutory right to address the court. Judge Subramanian came out and really took offense, said it was inappropriate, and I think the defense missed an opportunity here. I don't think there was any world where he was going to get time served, but to make this about Sean Diddy Combs and not about the victims, 5 different lawyers testified for the defense. Only one of them mentioned any of the victims. And that one lawyer, Brian Steele, who's one of the best, said Cassie consented. She knew what she was getting herself into. So really tone deaf. And if you want to go into sentencing and ask for leniency, you got to put on a strong mitigation case and talk about the victims and what you did wrong. Today completely missed the point.
Yeah, talking about tone deaf, that video that we were playing, this 11-minute, documentary style. People said it looked like a slick campaign ad. Everybody inside the court said it landed with a thud, that it was that it backfired, and using the word Nima just used, tone deaf.
I've never seen that introduced in a sentencing. I don't know if everybody has the capabilities to introduce that. You know what the problem with that video is? Everything you saw in that video, hugging people, charity events, he was committing crimes. He was committing crimes while doing all that.
Yeah.
So that's the problem with that. And that was a big theme that came out today, too. It was the idea of, you say you're sorry. You say you will never do this again. I hope you're right. The problem is every time you said that, when you made the apology video after the Cassie tape came out, afterwards, you beat up Jane.
Let's just remind the audience.
Yeah.
The video of him beating up Cassie came out. First of all, the allegations of him beating up Cassie came out. He denies it, says it's a lie.
Correct.
Then the video comes out showing who the real liar is. Then after the video comes out, he makes this big mea culpa on Instagram where he says, I'm mortified, I'm horrified, I'm going to seek therapy.
Right.
I'm a changed man.
And then afterwards, he beats up Jane,
A month later.
One of the victims in this case. And when he was arrested, comes to New York to surrender himself in the hotel room, was evidence of a freak-off, the main allegation in this case. So the idea is, how can the judge believe that he's different? Now, I will say this. I'm going to actually counter Nima a bit, even though he was 100% right. I think that him talking about his past, talking about the trauma in his life, his children speaking in court today, I think that had an effect.
In the end, Judge Subramanian gave him 4 years instead of 11. Now, Diddy waits for his next stop, possibly Fort Dix. From luxury mansions to prison chow halls, his world is about to change. But the real question remains, what will he do when he gets out?
I've been seeing this a lot online. How you feel about the people that say that you should be worried if Diddy get off?
Motherfuckers need something to say, bro. I'm not gonna worry about somebody that I bodyguard. I'm not gonna worry about somebody that I bodyguard. And God knows I could bodyguard myself with his blessings. I could bodyguard myself with his blessings, bro. I'm not worried about that. Nothing beats an ambush, and I know that. But I'm not worried about his shit. People just need to talk about something. They want to have something to say, man. Oh, G ain't got to be worried, so like that. So, shouldn't I have been worried when he was out here on the street? When he was out here on the street, I should have been worried.